Hello, everyone. This is Nickquolette. I am coming to you live once again on another episode of our new show called iRock.tv, where we have real talk about real careers with real results. So I am so excited to be here with you on today, and I have a very special guest with me, and I am so excited to have our insurance nerd, Tony Cañas, going to be with us in just a moment. And I want you all to do, as I always ask you to do, is share the broadcast. So share the broadcast with all of your audience and your followers so they can get on, so you can hear this very open and candid conversation. I am so excited to have this format. As you all know, for many, many years, I've been doing a lot of talking myself with an occasional guest here or there, but I'm so excited to be introducing more guests to you all so you can hear their perspective of, number one, their career, and also how they manage their career, what results they get, and what advice that you can get from this conversation to help you move your career forward as well. It's not just about me telling the story, but we all have stories. And, if you think about it, mostly everybody has had some type of job. We've learned some great lessons and some tough lessons that we've had to learn. And so those insights help us grow as individuals and as career professionals. And you can make great connections because it's all about making new connections. So with my guest, I want to make sure that you connect with him as well. So before I get started, as I always do, I'm going to go ahead and show my little quick commercial, and then I will be back. Back again. Thank you all so much for joining me. Please make sure that you share the broadcast. For those of you who all do not know me, I am Nickquolette Barrett. I'm a 4-time certified career development strategist. I specialize in resume writing, LinkedIn branding, not only for career professionals, but also entrepreneurs, as well as interview prep and career coaching. So I take you from point A to point Z and get you where you need to be. And the motto of my company, I am the CEO at iRock Development Solutions, LLC, doing business as iRock Resumes. And what we do here is we help you land the job of your dreams and create a career that rocks. So I am so excited to have you here. I'm going to add my guest to it, but I'm going to read you his bio. What's up, Ronnie?
Sure. I like that.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about my special guest. Tony is a proud insurance nerd with 10 years of experience in the carrier space and 3 in the insurance staffing space. Tony has a privileged view of the insurance staffing world. Tony is a co-founder of Insurance Nerds, which is a blog, a podcast, video blog, online community, and conference organizer. I had the pleasure of speaking for him before. It was awesome. He's also the co-author of a best-selling book called Insuring Tomorrow, Engaging Millennials in the Insurance Industry. And he's a client advisor at the Jacobson Group, which is the largest and oldest executive search and staffing firm serving the insurance industry exclusively. And you can find Tony all over social media and especially on LinkedIn. But I'm so excited to have you, Tony. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. Just got back home from my first trip of 2021. I spent 10 days back home in Costa Rica, where I'm from. It was very nice to get out after like 10 months of not going anywhere.
No. Oh my gosh. I remember you joined the live cast last week. You were saying that, hello. I was like, what? He's out of the country traveling. So I'm so glad you got a chance to go home and visit family and all that kind of good stuff.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. Let me see who's in our audience. Oh, look who's in our audience. What's up, Precious? So glad to have you. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Let's see, we got Nairobi. Oh, excellent, Nairobi. Thank you, Nairobi. And here's an insurance rock star. Yes, he is. Oh, huge fan of you both. Thank you so much. And we're an even bigger fan, I'm sure, of yours too, Precious. And Precious, you're going to be one of my guests too. I forgot to tell you that. So just look out for it as well. Yay. Okay. So Tony, now I gave an overview of who you are. Why don't you give some more insight to what you do before I start picking your brain with all these questions I have?
So I'm basically just a giant insurance nerd. 10 years in the carrier side of the industry. I did claims, I did underwriting, I did sales management, and back to underwriting. And during that time, I fell in love with the intersection of demographics or generations and insurance employment, and especially how do we engage the younger generation, and started insurance nurse to help the younger generation grow within the insurance industry. And all of that ended up leading me to speak about millennials in insurance, then write a book about it. And the book got me hired at Jacobson, where really kind of my two lives finally came together. And at Jacobson, I help insurance carriers and brokers, but mostly carriers, find the right talent to do what they need to do.
And it's interesting that your title is called client advisor. So you advise them on the types of talent that they need.
So I'm basically sales, but we don't sell, we educate. So my job is getting in front of the business unit leaders in the carriers in the PNC world, handle the Northeast, and making sure that they understand the different services that Jacobson can offer, whether it's executive search, permanent search, or temporary subject matter experts or consultants, which is the area that I represent. And
nice.
Either help them out when they need that, or when they need anything else. And I do a lot of speaking about millennials and helping them understand how to engage them and how to improve their internship programs, things like that are not directly related to my job, but that are of mine, and that help me get better known within the carriers. They're more likely to take my call.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm so excited to have you. And as you know, the purpose of the platform of this show is all about having real talk about real careers that get real results. I've changed the type of show from last year when I was talking about a lot of job search and everything, but I said I really want to talk to people who have real careers. So it's almost like an insight of what you do, almost like a virtual job shadow, and people can actually see what you've done in your career and how you've done it. So I want to ask my first question. What is one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I had known how much insurance is a people business. Luckily, by personality, I've always been the type to try to build connections. But at the beginning, I looked around and I was surrounded by people who had started insurance right after college, and I had spent 3 years in a different industry. So I kind of assumed that the best way to catch up would be just to get myself educated on the technical aspects of insurance. And so I jumped into all the designations, and they were super helpful. I'm a huge fanatic of CPCU and the designations, but I accidentally fell into networking. I wish that I had been much more much more proactive and much more organized on that side, but I had no idea how valuable that side was for career growth in our industry.
Well, that is excellent, especially when you're thinking about networking. And I'm very big on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, and I push it all the time to my clients. And when I'm able to get on, I'm always on, because networking is really a great way to get understanding for people. So I love the fact that you talk about the people side of it.
There is one more thing I just realized, or I just thought of, that I really wish I'd known, and that is that you're going to be successful in the jobs that your strengths really play in. So early on, I made the mistake of applying and successfully, or at least once, getting a job that the only interest I had in it was because it paid a lot better. I talked my way into the job, and then I failed. And the biggest thing I learned is that the way my brain works, I should never go for a heavily analytical job. And that was a finance job that I went for. And it just did not go well. Because of my personality, I really should go towards the jobs that are more sales, more dealing with people. So I really wish I'd known that earlier.
Yeah. And you know what? That goes right into my next question about what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? So, dive into that a little bit. When you said it was all about the money, I mean, what stage of career were you? Fresh out of college? Where were you in that moment when you just thought it was all about the money?
So I'd been working for 3 years in the transportation space. I got downsized. I came into insurance, and I took a pay cut compared to where I was in transportation. So I was very lowly paid. I was like $33,000, $32,000 a year. I think where I started in insurance. Des Moines, Iowa was pretty cheap, but still very low pay, and I had to pay my student loans and stuff. And so I started looking around and quickly found that roles in business analysis, in finance, in those kind of areas paid a lot better very early on. So I started aiming for those jobs. And I found my way into the Financial Leadership Rotation Program, which is a fantastic program, and they developed me a lot. I learned a ton, but ultimately I couldn't deliver in producing the actual product required for finance people. And after a year, they showed me the door. Luckily, I 2 good years with the company prior to going into this program. So the conversation wasn't required. It was, we're not going to give you another chance. We'll help you find a way to something back on the insurance side, because we know you have a passion for that side and you have a good history on that side. So it's really funny. I actually failed forward. What I mean by that is I went from 1 year in claims and 1 year in underwriting, and having been told that I needed 5 or 6 years in underwriting before going to sales management, to 1 year in finance and sales management. So I was able to skip like 3 or 4 years by failing in the finance space. But I did learn a lot in the finance space, especially about leadership, and I did get very connected in the company. And I am forever thankful to my leadership that they were wise enough to realize that even though I was failing in finance, I was a great insurance employee and a passionate member of the company.
Yep, exactly. And just like Precious said, it's so important to know what you do and don't want to do, because it's so huge. Yep, and I love that. So let me ask you this. So if someone's thinking about, that job that he's doing sounds fabulous, what kind of advice would you give someone who wants to pursue a similar career as yours?
So you mean my current role with
your
Jacobson?
Current role? Yeah, let's talk about your current role.
So, the beauty of Jacobson is we are really insurance people. We work in recruiting, we do staffing, but we're insurance people first and foremost. And there's 2 paths in. One path is do a few years in the insurance space, do a lot of networking, and then kind of look over to staffing once you build the network for yourself, because that'll really help you get started. And the other path is start in staffing and then learn the insurance piece, right? And in the case of Jacobson, the entry-level job, which I never went through, is the recruiter. We have a lot of entry-level recruiters, and the system is designed in such a way to teach you how to do the job and to be successful, and then help you grow within the company, either within the recruiting or what we call talent delivery or other areas. So it's a great way to get started in both staffing and insurance. And I found it earlier. I would have had so much fun if I had started at Jacobson's recruiting rather than in claims.
Well, that is awesome. A big plug to Jacobson. So that is absolutely fabulous. And it's really important also to love where you work because of the environment and culture. So tell me about the environment and the culture that really is a fit for you.
That is one thing that I've been surprised with. I took the job knowing that I would like the job, because it basically allowed me to, instead of worrying about handling a claim or instead of worrying about underwriting a policy, allowed me to just nerd out about insurance on a daily basis and about a wide variety of insurance things. So that's right off my alley, right?
Yeah.
But I had no idea about the culture. I really had no idea that I would enjoy the culture, and it turned out that I loved it. And what I would really love about it is while it is while it is the biggest company within insurance recruiting, there's only about 100 of us that are full-time employees. So ultimately, it's a family-run company ran by the Jacobsons. They're brothers. Their dad founded a company 50 years ago this year, and they treat us like a family company. They treat us like you have to perform, but they give you all the tools that you need to perform, and the whole open door policy that every company claims they have. I have never seen an open door that the CEO will call my cell phone. It makes me nervous to this day. If I call his cell phone, he'll answer, and he'll be perfectly happy to chat with me. And when I visit the Chicago home office, which I did, I spent the first 2 weeks at home office, and then I visited once a month until COVID hit. And when you're there, your family, their doors always. So that's what I really love about the culture. Also, we have a great culture of teamwork, because since we are, even though we're big in what we do, since we are somewhat small, when there's a big project, it's all hands on deck, right? So if the health insurance, if my teammates in health insurance bring in a big project and we need to find 200 open enrollment people in the next couple of weeks, we will all hit the phones for them, even if we're not, even if that's not our department. So that kind of thing doesn't happen in bigger companies, right? That kind of we need everybody to help out with this. So I also really enjoy that.
Oh,
and,
nice.
And I agree with you. The culture fit with the company is, I think, the second most important thing. I think the most important thing for your success is your aptitude matching what the company needs for the job that you're doing, right? Your ability to do the job that you're doing, and enjoy doing it. But number two is the culture fit with the company.
Oh, that is fabulous, because it does make a big difference that you not only enjoy the job, but you also found a culture and that you actually love to work in that environment, because you only can do your best depends on the company culture. When I coach a lot of my clients, I tell them, not number one, just chase the dollars. You don't just chase that. I mean, if you love what you do, the money will follow. Then I want you to make sure that you love the actual role, but it's even more important that you love the environment, because again, you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours of your day with that organization, and you don't want to get there and then not like it. Then you're looking for another opportunity, and it's important to investigate and as you're going for an interview the organization, investigate, research, learn about the organization, connect on LinkedIn, and ask people those questions, right? Because it makes it a big difference. But I'm so glad that you talked about that. It has to match you, right?
Absolutely, and one advantage of my weird position within insurance, both with Insurance Nerds and with Jacobson, I've grown to 17,600 or so connections on LinkedIn. Many of them I've chatted with, but they know who I am for one of those two reasons. So basically, if you're listening to this and you're an insurance professional, maybe you've been at the same company for a long time, or you're pretty new to the industry, and you're looking at an opportunity at a different company that you don't know anybody at.
Yes.
I probably know somebody there.
Yeah.
Reach out. Perhaps on Chat with Tony, which is my free micro mentoring service, chatwithtony.com. Now I'm not a career coach. If you want career coaching, I'm gonna say, here's Nickquolette.
Right.
But I'll get you started. And what I can do is, okay, now that I understand what you want to do, or I've helped you understand what you want to do and which companies you're looking at, as you run into specific companies, reach out, let me know. I can tell you what I've seen about that company, and I can very likely put you in contact with somebody at that company, maybe at a similar role to the one that you're looking for, to informally give you the real thoughts that they wouldn't be able to.
Right. Exactly. And like Tania said, she said culture and fit definitely feed into the success, because it really, really does. And I want to make sure that I get a shout out to Tony. He wanted to say, hey, he's going into a meeting, so he wants to say hello. But that is awesome. So now let me ask you this question. What are the best resources that have helped you in your career along the way? What are some resources that you can share? Or what have you read or listened to lately that recently inspired you? Either way.
Number one is CPCU. Like my very good friend Rob Galbraith likes to say, domain knowledge never goes out of style. The more you know about technical insurance, the better off that you'll be able to build. So especially early in your career, it makes a ton of sense to invest. You don't need 10 designations like I did. You don't need to spend 3 years of your life doing nothing but studying like I did. But CPCU would be a really good base. Number two is start building your network right away. And for that, LinkedIn is by far the resource.
Yes.
Number three, never stop reading. I'm an obsessive reader. Last year, not so much. I missed my goal of 26 books for the year, but there's been years where I've broken 100 books for the year. On average, I do maybe 35 or 40. Set a goal and then just read. It'll be super, super helpful. And then there are, compared to when I started in insurance 10 years ago, there are so many resources, right? So my own insurance nerds, our podcast, Profiles in Risk, was the first big carrier side podcast. Now there's tons of them that are really, really good. There, insurance Slack, our insurance Slack community, online community. There's just so much that you can find for free now to really help. That is not just company marketing,
right?
To really help you understand how to grow insurance. There's so much more now. Coverager, Coverager.com, and their newsletter. If you want to understand what's going on in the insurtech side of the game, I've always been a fan of the Insurance Journal, and they put out the new magazine for free every 2 weeks on their website. I've always had that on my calendar to check it on Sunday when it comes out.
Nice, I like that.
Some of my favorite resources.
That's awesome. And I like the fact that you actually set not only a goal, but you also put it on your calendar to do, because for me, if it's not on my calendar, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to get done. So folks out there listening, when you're wanting to do something, there's no excuse of not having time. You have to create the time, especially when it comes down to your professional development. You want to make sure that you're putting in the time that you need to grow. Even if it's saying, you know what, I'm going to read this blog post every time it posts, and it takes me about 15 minutes to read. Do that, because that helps you. There was a time I was going back and forth with a drive of 5 hours. I turned it into my university as I increased my knowledge about being a business owner. Not just the fact that I know how to write resumes and interview people, but it's about how do I run a business, and it became my university. So that's awesome that you said that. That's right up my alley as well. Now let me ask you this: what is the? Well, let me ask you this question: what is the one common myth about your profession, or the field of insurance, or even the field of recruiting like that you want to debunk?
There's 2 myths that I'd like to debunk. One about insurance, one about staffing or recruiting. On the insurance side, super important. The number 1 myth about insurance is that it's boring. It is not. Now, the entry-level jobs within insurance can be boring, but if you do the right things to grow, and Nickquolette and I can help you with that.
Yes.
If you do the right things to grow, pretty quickly you can get yourself to an interesting job, and you will never again be bored at work because there's so much to learn. It is just a fascinating industry. And on the recruiting side, the biggest thing to understand that people don't understand, even like executives don't understand this. Here in the US, the recruiting companies are not allowed to charge you to find you a job. The only business model that's allowed is finding talent for a company. So basically, the recruiter is a trained salesperson. They're not your friend. They're a salesperson, and you are not the client. You're the product. Very similar to Facebook, right? Where they sell you to the advertisers. As long as you understand that relationship, things are good. The problem is when you don't understand the relationship, you can get upset at recruiters not getting back to you. Believe me, they're like real estate agents. Most of the time, they don't get paid unless somebody gets placed. Jacobs is an exception. We're big enough that we're salary. But the moment they have a job, as long as you're in the database, the moment they have a job that you're a good match for, your phone won't stop ringing because they want to make a placement.
Yes.
Use them accordingly. Now, if what you want is career advice, then we have career coaches like Nickquolette who specialize on that. But they're different things.
I love that because a lot of times I do hear, well, I keep IMing or emailing this recruiter and they're not getting back to me, and I have to let them know, in defense of the recruiters, they are busy, and especially during this unfortunate time, they're being inundated with requests, but they have to have the right opportunity. Not that you're not important, not that they're not concerned about you as an individual. It's the masses that are reaching out all the time. And you have to make sure that it's a great connection. Yep. Yep. And some get paid and some are on salary.
They're busy trying to find jobs to fill.
Yes.
And the more jobs they find, the more likely that they'll have one for you.
Right. Exactly. So I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad we talked about that, because we need to debunk that myth. Because I mean, it's not you're not the only person that's reaching out to the recruiter. They have tons of them, and I've heard that from a lot of my my recruiter friends of saying that. And I also see it on LinkedIn when people say, stop ghosting the people. So I don't think they're ghosting them. They just have so much work they can't get to it, so that they're trying to get there. All right.
I'm very lucky because Jacobson's big enough that I only do the client part. I don't deal with it. When I bring in a need from a client, we have 60 recruiters that actually find the people. But most recruiters do both sides because they're in small companies, and I don't know how they do it. Like, they have to be crazy busy.
Yeah. Exactly. I appreciate that. Hey, Sharice. See, they call me the auntie of resume writing business. Now, I'm in a group society of elite resume writers, and I'm considered the auntie. I'm almost old enough to be their mama, some of them, but but I'm the auntie. Hey, Sharice.
Nobody wants to let down their auntie, so especially not the ones that give them a job.
Virtual hug. Yeah, and I just want to, let me see. No excuses. What Precious said. No excuses. So many free resources out there. I got Tammy in here said, "Hey," she wanted to say, "Hey" to everybody. Hey, Tammy. Let me see.
Are there so many resources? But insurance people tend to be in insurance and stay in insurance because they like helping people. Because ultimately, that's what we do. So don't be afraid to reach out. There's a very, very good chance, if you include a thoughtful message, there's a very good chance they'll accept your connection request. There's a very good chance they'll give you a little bit of their time because they like helping people. That's why they're in insurance.
Exactly. And you know what? I also say be very respectful of people's time as well. I always talk about doing virtual coffee chats and, ask people for 15 minutes. Most people have their favorite beverage in the morning, whether it be coffee, tea, or some people just like a soda in the morning. And if you ask for 15 minutes, keep it to 13. And then you're respectful and then start pulling yourself out of that conversation, right? When you're making that connection. And then if they ask to extend it, then it's on them. But you have to be respectful. Again, then you're going to get a lot of connections as well, Tony.
And don't be afraid to, the phrase is the wrong word. Be okay with the fact, maybe even stated in your message, that you're okay with waiting months to get on their calendar.
Yeah.
I can tell you how many, especially at Nationwide, I did this a lot, where I would ask for time in somebody's calendar 10 levels above me, and I would make it super clear. Would love to pick your brain for 15 minutes. Would love to buy you coffee. Completely understand that you're busy. December is fine.
Yeah. And that's a very good point, because when you're asking at that kind of level, it's not about you, because people have to take it off of them. It's just the other person trying to make that connection. I made a connection with a person who was like a VP or executive. We were going to talk about, career stuff. And it took them over a month to get connected because they're so busy. And so therefore I was very appreciative of just being able to make that connection. So make sure that we're respecting that. And
what happened fairly often during that time, and I was working at Nationwide's biggest office, so I had that advantage. We weren't home, right? We were working in the office. But what would happen is I would get scheduled for like 6 months down the road, and then all of a sudden, on a random day, my phone would ring, and it would be their admin saying, "Hey, he's got 15 minutes today." Right? And you're like,
I did that call.
It happened all the time, and you should always be ready for that meeting.
Yes.
Just in case you get the call that they're available today.
Right. Tanya said, great point. Yep. Oh, awesome. Okay, let me see what else I got to ask for you. So who are 2 to 3 people who have been the most influential to you?
That one's a really, really interesting one. Mike Koselmi, and it's taken me years to learn how to pronounce his last name. He's a former president of the CPCU Society.
Yep, he sure is.
And he really transformed CPCU for me. I would still be a member if it wasn't for Mike, but he really showed me that regardless of your level and how connected you are within the society, reaching out to the new people and being friendly to new people and being open to the new people, making them feel welcome, really pays off. And I'm not the only one. There are hundreds of people who feel the same way about Mike. So he's one for sure. Another one that Charlie Kingdollar. Charlie Kingdollar used to be the VP of emerging issues for GenRe for 39 years, and he did a lot of speaking at conferences. I met him at several conferences, and eventually we became friends. He retired after 39 years, and the funny thing is he continues to do the same thing he used to do. Now he does it from home, and like for the fun of it. So follow him on LinkedIn, and his effect on me was helping me see how emerging issues can affect insurance in the long term.
Wow.
Because and hearing him speak or seeing the things that he shares really helps me figure out where insurance might go in the future because of the things that are happening. So he really helped me kind of think about insurance long term. Number 3 is probably Amy Waninger. Amy, who I met through the CPC Society, and we've become really good friends since then. Amy showed me that diversity, and I've always been a diversity and inclusion type person, but she showed me that diversity should go beyond your industry, because my blinders are I'm trying to make friends with every insurance person out there, but my network is poor on non-insurance people. And Amy showed me that there's a lot to gain from looking from taking off my blinders and meeting people in other areas. So I think those 3 are, without having time to think about it, those 3 have had big effects in my life. A 4th has to be mentioned, Margaret Reese-Millicent. Margaret was a partner at Jacobson for a very, very, very long time, 35 plus years with the company. And what I learned from her is don't leave your heart out of the conversation. Basically, like come in with honestly, sincerely, candidly, and that's what I'm looking for. Allow yourself to be vulnerable in business conversation.
Authentic,
Not something that was hard for me, but something that I was afraid of doing too much of. And seeing Margaret in action, she's the fairy godmother of the insurance industry. She's a co-founder in every women's insurance organization, and she's placed half the CEOs in this industry. And I learned so much from working with her over the 3 years that I've been at Jacobson. So yeah, those 4 people have definitely had huge effects on my career and the way I see insurance and growing my career.
Oh, that's awesome. And I love that you threw Amy out there. So Amy, if you're out there, I'm coming for you, my dear. We gotta have a conversation on diversity. I'm coming after you. So thank you so much for those. Those are very inspiring, especially for the last one that you said, as far as, sometimes insurance makes us think that we always have to be so like going back to the boring and suited up and stern and stuff. But we need to be ourselves. And that's what will attract more people into that industry.
I think that
you said that
early on, and depending on which company you're at, early on, you have to learn how to play the game the way it's played. And I wore a suit and tie every day for the first 3 years of my insurance career. People can't believe it now. But at first, you've got to learn how to play the game is played today while staying honest to who you are. And then little by little, allowing more of yourself to come to work is important, both for your own happiness, to find the right culture fit. And you can't possibly keep up a fake appearance for 30 or 40 years of your career.
No.
Right? Be who you are and let the best parts of yourself shine, and the right people will be attracted to you, and you'll be attracted to the right opportunities.
Yeah, I like that, being attracted to the right opportunities, because when you open yourself up, they can vouch for you because they see you for who you are as an authentic person, and they can vouch for you. Say, oh no, I know this person's heart. I know, even if you make a mistake, right? Because if they know you and they know your heart, they can vouch for you even if you make a mistake. So that's why it's so important.
There's a fifth person that I really should mention. Jose Cruz used
Okay.
to be a VP at Nationwide, a VP of sales at Nationwide, and we had chatted a couple times. He didn't know me very well. I hadn't worked for him, but we chatted a couple times. And when I failed at FRP, I reached out. I said, "Hey, I'm applying for sales roles. What do you think? Do you have any openings?" He made a phone call in front of me. He called. It turns out one of his friends in the Sacramento, California office had an opening that was perfect for me, and he in front of me, he made the call, vouched for me, and got me the interview. And he hung up the phone, and I thanked him, and he said three things that I'll never forget. He said, "You're welcome. I only asked two things: don't let me down, and pay it forward." And I did my best not to let him down, and I continue to do that. But the biggest thing is that pay it forward led me to do everything I do with an insurance search, everything I do with Tony.
That's powerful.
People ask me all the time, why do you give me free time to talk about my career? I'm just paying it forward.
My heart, be still my heart. That's awesome. That's what it does. And I mean, you do some amazing things in this insurance industry, and I applaud you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And that's what I want everybody to take away too. Pay it forward. When someone helps you, pay it forward and do something with that. And most of all, don't let someone down, because I've had that situation years ago when I got somebody a job and they ended up not doing the right thing, and it embarrassed me because I vouched for that person to come on. So your word is out there on that person. So make sure you honor that person's word when you're taking on an opportunity, because they didn't have to do that for you. Yep. Awesome.
Give into your network.
Yes.
Give to your network without keeping count, and your network will be there for you the day you need it. I have seen that a million times. It absolutely, you just keep giving to your network. Eventually, it'll all pay back to you.
Yeah, and I think Precious can speak to that, because Precious, baby, when she puts out a clarion call, people come running for Precious.
That's exactly what happens.
Yes.
When you're authentic and you've been there for people, and you're always willing to help people.
Yes.
No surprise at all that we're all willing to help Precious.
Well, let me ask you this. If you could step into my shoes, what would you ask yourself that I didn't today?
I don't. We tend to think in similar ways. So you really haven't missed anything important.
Yes.
One of my favorite questions recently, Joey Giangola had me on the RPS podcast, and his closing question was if you had a magic wand and you could make one change in the industry, what would it be? And I thought about it for a second, and I really love my answer. That's why I'm telling it again.
Okay.
The one thing the biggest thing I would change is I would make it so that nobody ever again apologizes for working in insurance. That it happens a lot. People, what do you do? Oh, I just work in insurance, and then you kind of like quickly move on, right?
Right.
Nobody's, because your assumption is that there's no positive thing in their mind attached to insurance.
Right.
We need to do the opposite. We need to be proud about the fact that we work in insurance, and tell that to our kids. Tell that to the neighbors' kids, and every cocktail party. Be proud about working in insurance, and that'll help us attract talent in the long term.
And even to your point, Tony, people mistake insurance as the actual insurance agent on the corner. They don't understand that there is a wealth of different types of opportunities in these major organizations. When you think about public relations, you think about marketing, you think about commercial production, you think about all of these different things to make these companies grow or be who they are. It's not just about selling the insurance policy, right? It's not just about that. It's about more than that. And if you have talent, think of the insurance industry.
Regardless of what your background is, regardless of what your major is or was, regardless of what it is you want to do, we very, very, very likely have a job for you within insurance.
Yeah.
Now, it might not be an entry-level job. So we might have to help you get an entry level job, then learn more about that area. Right? It might be 2 or 3 jumps to get to the perfect role for you, but there is a role here for you, almost regardless of your background.
Yes,
and I have this of insurance.
Right. I had this conversation with a client last week. We did the whole assessment, career assessment, and everything that kept jumping out to me was claim adjuster. I said, you have the skill set, the analytical, the technical, and the people side of it. And she said, you know what? I'd really never thought about it. Although my friend's father is a vice president at a major insurer. I said, why aren't you on the phone asking them for a job? I never thought about it. I will do this as soon as I hang up.
Yeah, chances are this person thinks of insurance as a in the best case scenario as a boring, old-fashioned, buttoned-up dying industry, and in the worst case scenario as a scam.
And
neither are true.
Right. And this person's background, unfortunately, they were laid off by a major hotel there. Marriott laid off a lot of people, and she was in the event planning. I said, do you know that insurance companies plan events for major agents? They have event specialists there. I said, you may have to get in, like you said, to the entry level, get a claim representative job, but you can move around. The fact is, get in, because there's always a need for claims personnel. Get in and do that. She said, I didn't think about that. I was like, yep. Yeah. They don't think about it. So I love that you said that. Insurance.
And not only that, there are so many, well, once we get back, once we're all vaccinated, there are so many conferences and events within the insurance industry. Like in a good year, I might hit 30 or 40 of them. There are hundreds.
Yeah, so and they need people to organize those, right? Yeah. I love what look first say, get in. It's so many different things that you can do. But all it kept telling me when I was reading her assessment, when we had our next coaching call, I said, this is what you need to be doing. She said, I never thought about it. I'm going to call my my friend right now and get on her father's calendar. And she's been knowing this person forever. She said, he's a vice president. I'm like, girl, get off my line. And she said that's what she was going to do. So it's so many different areas. And this conversation has been so enlightening, because a lot of times we need to see other sides of the people's jobs, what they do, industries, organizations, and it gives people the real insight of what's happening. And this has been so phenomenal. And I just have this one other question before we wrap up, Tony. When I say IROC, what does that mean to you?
I've seen your brand enough that I think at this point I would immediately think resume and career advice. Yes. And it's very memorable. I'll be honest. I have a hard time remembering people's names.
Yes.
And your name is particularly complicated to spell.
Yeah.
Like I've had a hard time remembering how to
spell. Right? All 12 letters, right?
But I always remember IROC. So as I'm having conversations with people, it gets you more referrals. Because I'm like, if you want resume help, which probably makes sense, and if you want a career coach, I do have a recommendation for you. What's her name? I don't remember, but iRockResumes.com.
Yes. And I thank you, and I have received some of your referrals, and they are excited with the outcome. So keep them coming. Thank you so much for that. I sure appreciate it. And again, like, I was so honored to be able to speak at the your insurance nerd event. Met a lot of great people with the students and everything. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I appreciate that. Do you have any parting words at all?
If you're listening to this and we're not connected on LinkedIn, add me on LinkedIn. I can't add you. I'm on the bad boys list. And if you want to have a career conversation, chatwithtony.com. Although, like I said, I'm not a career coach. But if I can open any doors or give you some insight into any company, let me know.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Tony, for starting off my first conversation for the year, for the real talk, real careers, real results, IROC TV show live stream that eventually I'm going to take this onto a podcast. So be looking out for the replays on that for podcasts, so you can take us wherever you go. And if you are connected with me, if you haven't connected with me on LinkedIn, please do so. Yes, my name is spelled right there. All 12 letters. If you put in NICKQ, no matter what social media you are on, I am the only one with that spelling.
That's a very good point. Yeah,
The only one.
there's
And
a
it
lot of
is a
Tony.
French spelling. So go ahead and pull me up and connect with me on there. And if you've enjoyed this live stream, please make sure you make a comment. The more comments that we get into the live stream, the further the live stream will reach. And then, of course, I would love for you to share it as well. Share the live stream on your platform. This is great information. And I'm going to have another guest next week. And Renee Taylor, she's going to come on and talk about transitioning. And you know, I'm a certified career transition coach. And we're going to talk about her experience in transitioning for different jobs and how she managed that and was able to get into that. Her name is Renee Taylor, and she will be my special guest. So join me next week, same time, same place. And we're going to have another real talk about real careers and getting real results for you all. And if you all have any interest in being a guest on this show, I have about 20 spots still available. So go to my website. No, you have to send it. It's not on my website. Send me an email, irock@irockresumes.com, and I'll send you the form to fill out so you can let me know why you would be a great guest and how you want to share your experience, because your experience is going to help my audience understand careers, the background, the insight, and really show them an inside look at how your brain works. How did you do your career? So these conversations are going to be very, very helpful. And as I said, in the near future, I'm going to have Precious on, and I'm coming for Amy. If you out there, Miss Amy, I hope I can get Mike. I know Mike is very busy. He's big time. So I would love to get Mike on here too. So I'm going to try to come and get you, Mike, too.
But he is so approachable.
Yes.
You might have to wait a while, but
yeah.
he'll
I'll try to schedule him for like November, December. Okay, well, thank you so much for being my guest on here, Tony. Thank you so much. And again, you can share this as well. It'll be posted on YouTube. If you have not signed up, any of you have not signed up for my YouTube channel, there's 100+ videos out there that you can subscribe to. And go there to Nickquolette Barrett, also known as the Get Higher Strategist. You should be able to pull my YouTube channel right up and subscribe, and you can see the replay. And if you are in the replay, please put #replay. And if you have any questions, you can answer them here, and I'll also get back to you if you inbox me. And Tony has also said if you have questions for him, please inbox him as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.